Thanks for joining us, everybody, here on Late Night Baseball. If you're new here, that's Parker. I'm Anthony, and we are two guys every week talking baseball deep into the night. We would love if you can go ahead on YouTube. Follow us, Late Night Baseball, at YouTube. Like, subscribe. It would be huge help for us if you get those subscriber numbers up. So if you like baseball, someone you know likes baseball, and odds are they do, go ahead and subscribe. We would love to have you here each and every week. And we post a bunch of stuff every week. We don't even post our long, oftentimes hour plus long show, but we post nice little shorts and segments for you if you're on the go and just want baseball in small little bite-sized chunks. But today, Parker, we have a full menu of baseball items, and of course, probably going to go over the hour per usual. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Been keyed in on Red Sox games, unlike at any other time during the year, which is interesting because I watch like basically every pitch of the season. But there's a lot of playoff scenarios that are playing out in front of our eyes, and we're going to get to that later. But it has been an absolute delight to watch baseball over the last couple weeks, really, but especially over the last few days since our last recording. It has been very eventful, and like I said, we will get to that soon.
Yes, count them. 5 more games. 5 more days left in the season before we find out who's going to the postseason, and a lot is still in play, which we'll get to. We'll also talk about good friend of the show, just because we love him, Clayton Kershaw retired. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about some evolutions of the game that are worth talking about. We'll save that to the end. But I want to start, Parker, with just hitting some of the things that happened here in the last 24 hours that are worthy of conversation. And I want to hit on one that's close to home for you. As most of you probably know, the Nationals are cleaning house this season. They let go of manager Davey Martinez. They let go of longtime GM or head of baseball ops Mike Rizzo, and they're looking for new heads of their baseball ops. And looks like they found their guy. Red Sox assistant general manager Paul Taboni is being selected to lead the Nationals baseball ops team going forward. So Parker, what did you make of that?
Well, I mean, assistant GM for the Red Sox, Taboni's young. He's 35 years old. He played Division I ball. Hold on, I'm looking. Played Division I ball. University of California. So, I mean, he's another one of those like super smart, up and coming, baseball minded guys. And I think that for a team that has, a CJ Abrams, James Wood, they're looking to infuse young and like, I don't want to like enthusiastic leadership behind a roster that is also young and enthusiastic. And if you can supplement some of the more key pieces that are on that roster, then you can find yourself in a really interesting scenario where a team in the Nationals that really like is the second worst team in the National League this year, the third worst team in baseball, 65 and 94 record so far, negative 204 run differential. Like it just didn't pan out. Like this was a kind of a season where it's like, oh, maybe the Nationals are going to surprise us a little bit this year. It didn't work out, and we saw that like those expectations are not going to like they're proven by the fact that the entire managerial team was completely disbanded in the middle of this season. There was some form of expectation for this Nationals season that was undershot by the leadership around the roster. So we are now seeing an influx of youth. We're seeing an influx in hopefully what is an enthusiastic rebuild of a Nationals roster that has some pieces. They just need to realize their full potential.
Yeah, I mean the issue for the Nationals over the last 5 to 7 years ish is they don't have many homegrown developed draft lottery tickets, and they've hit nobody in the draft that's developed into at least an everyday player. And what makes Paul Taboni pretty interesting, and why I think they really gravitated towards him, was he oversaw those really successful recent White Sox drafts, right? I mean, guys like a Roman Anthony, guys they've even traded away that are in the minors that are now with the White Sox, right? Your Chase Maidros and your Braden Montgomerys and those guys. I mean, that's something that when we talk about, right, how a team is successful over the course of 5, 10, 15 years, forget windows, just be perennially successful. You need to develop your draft picks, and the Nationals
Mm-hmm.
have not done that. I mean, don't forget, folks, C.J. Abrams, Hassel, those guys came in the Juan Soto trade. Those were not
Mm-hmm.
Nationals dudes. So
Right.
this is huge for them, I think, and it's great background for them to bring in.
For sure. James Wood, I'd say, is their biggest nail. Like hit. Oh wait, no, he's a Padres guy too, isn't he?
He is a Padres
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
always all Juan Soto. Wow. Okay, so Juan Soto was the last time they hit.
Right.
So and
Literally
you
and
make a good,
figuratively.
100%. You make a great point when you point out the Red Sox drafting over the last few years. The Red Sox have made me very excited about the MLB draft every year. They have really found a way to take comp picks and pick players that have fallen due to the level of money, the amount of money that they would demand if they were drafted in a higher slot. Roman Anthony is one of those people. Roman Anthony could have gone top 10 in the draft he was selected, but he wasn't selected until the compensatory first round because of how talented he was and how much money teams were trying to avoid picking. And that how much money they were trying to avoid spending. And that is something that like more teams could be taking advantage of. It's actually a little, it's like, oh man, now somebody's stealing our recipe, because these Red Sox drafts over the last, 3 to 5 years have been incredible. Literally today, closing out the game against the Blue Jays was Peyton Tolley, who was drafted in 2024 in the second round and just won Red Sox minor league player of the year because he started the year in high A and he was closing out a game for the Red Sox at the big league level and is probably going to make the roster as a reliever moving into the postseason. So
Crazy.
assuming the Red Sox make the postseason. So yeah, I hope that he goes over to the Nationals and makes them a force, because that NL East, we have seen, and we're going to get to it later, that there's a little bit of wiggle room inside that NL East for somebody to really truly shake everything up, because the Braves are not the team that they were over the last 3 to 5 years. The Mets just cannot seem to finally put everything together, and that leaves the door wide open for the next team to take over once this aging Phillies roster starts to tail off.
One of the things I know you saw, Parker, from it was just yesterday, was Guardian David Fry taking a Scooble fastball to the face on a bunt attempt. And geez, did it look rough.
Yeah, absolutely. 99 miles an hour to the dome. Fry goes down. I believe he was carted off. Tarek Skubal looked absolutely distraught. I don't really have a ton on this besides I really hope the man is okay. And I hope we get to see him as the Guardians look to be making an exciting playoff run and a push towards the playoffs.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be in recovery. He did get out of the hospital. And one of the reasons why I bring this up is he is one of those guys that is just a great utility guy to have in the playoffs, right? He's one of your, he is the Ben Zobrist of
I was
the
just going to say that, yeah.
However, doesn't hit like a Ben Zobrist. Let's be realistic here. However, he's a good team, club guy, good piece going into a postseason run. So it'll be a bummer for the Guardians, but good thing he's doing well. Speaking of injuries, here's one, Parker, that just happened today that is pretty substantial, and it's for the Padres outfielder. Roman Laureano actually is now going to miss the first round of the playoffs with a finger fracture. This one's big for them.
Yeah, especially because the Padres are the bullpen team going into this playoff run. Like you can see most years there is a team that has this incredible bullpen or a bullpen that steps up to the occasion. We kind of saw that with like the Diamondbacks when they made the run at the to the World Series against the Rangers, who also had a spectacular bullpen. Both bullpens that were not like incredible on paper, but had really good runs at the perfect time. And now a key component of teams that are built around a bullpen is the fact that you need your reliable hitters, what few you may have, to remain reliable, especially for a playoff run, because those runs are going to be few and far between, and you need to capitalize on the runs you do score. Ramon Laureano missing the first round of the playoffs, that is kind of a nightmare scenario for a Padres team that already doesn't score runs at the cyclic rate. They are slated to go up against a Cubs team that has somehow managed to pitch up to this point. And that doesn't look good if the playoff standings hold. And I believe that the Padres Cubs matchup is kind of set in stone. And I don't know. I losing Ramon Laureano. If I'm a Padres fan, I'm not very happy about that. Now, if he's going to be back for the second round, assuming you make it, that's huge. I mean, he's a 3.6 WAR player this year. He is an 850 OPS this season, 136 OPS plus. This is not a bad that you can afford to lose, but hopefully you can weather the storm and he can come back and contribute.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to surprise people when you find out, right? I mean, Ramon Laureano, a guy who is often the last couple of years the 25th, 26th man on these rosters. This is a guy who's second on the team in home runs, hitting 24 bombs, and he is leading the team. This shocked me. Leading the team in WRC plus, if you can imagine that. That's Ramon Laureano. That's tough.
That's a good little trade deadline acquisition they got themselves there.
I'd say. Parker. All right. So the biggest news, I would say this past week that wasn't postseason related, if you can believe it, is Clayton Kershaw, longtime Dodger pitcher, really just an all-around good dude. We love him here. He's officially hanging them up and will retire after 2025. And I think you and I talked about that this was going to happen, and it was inevitable. I think the writing was on the wall on this one, but nonetheless, it's crazy to see what will undoubtedly be a future Hall of Famer not pitching in Major League Baseball next year.
I can't believe we're here. Kind of, it's like you said, the writing's been on the wall for a while. This is something that we knew was happening. He's an 11-time All-Star. He won the Triple Crown. He's won an MVP, 3 Cy Youngs. He won the World Series in 2020, and like technically won the World Series last year as well. It's not even listed on his reference page, by the way, because of the small amount of contribution he had to that team. Last year, he pitched in 7 games for those 2024 Dodgers. So, you know, it's like, okay, he got a ring. I bet you he owns the ring, but I don't know if he's got it like on his mantelpiece or something like that.
Sure.
And so this would be an interesting thing for him to decide to do. You asked me whether or not I want to see him pitch in the postseason again. I want to see him pitch in the postseason so that he gets a World Series title that he could genuinely say he contributed to. Now, he could not throw another pitch for the rest of the season and genuinely say he contributed to this World Series ring were they to win one. He made 21 starts this year to the tune of a 3.55 ERA. He has been way more than I ever thought he would contribute to this team. He basically made 2/3 worth of a like workhorse starting pitcher's amount of starts this year as a, how old is he? Age 37 pitcher who has just racked up innings over the course of his big league career. We're looking at an almost 20-year-long big league career, 17 years in the big league, 18 years in the big leagues. I would like to see him be a part of a postseason run. I wonder, though, where he fits. Where are you slotting Clayton Kershaw into this Dodgers roster as you build a postseason roster today?
I mean, that's rough. And I think one of the things that's weighing on the mind of this Dodgers team, and undoubtedly Dodgers fans, is Clayton's history in the postseason. Mind you guys, he is an all-time pitcher. Not in the postseason, folks. And so I think when you factor in the record, number one, you factor in the fact that they're going to have an abundance of actually healthy pitching, is at least in the rotation going into the postseason. And the fact that he's 37, I don't know that the Dodgers, seeing how vulnerable they have been down the stretch, are going to take that gamble. Now, what I would see from them is I envision a bullpen 1 or 2 inning appearance for Kershaw. I think that is more likely, because if you're putting Roki Sasaki in the 8th or 9th inning, which they're saying they're going to put him in high leverage in the back of the bullpen, you're doing that with Kershaw. If you give me your Tanner Scott, you give me, Kirby Yates unfortunately is injured, so we don't know if he's going to be down there. I don't know that you use him anywhere else than a bullpen in the postseason.
I don't even know if he's anything but maybe a bailout reliever.
Sure.
Like, what if he's a guy, like, you go down 5 by the 2nd inning, you have to pull your starter, you put Clayton Kershaw in there to give you hopefully 5 innings.
To bridge to the back end guys. Yeah.
Right. Just keep you in the game kind of guy. And maybe that's the kind of role that he fills. It would be disappointing, if I'm being completely honest, just because, Like when you think about Clayton Kershaw, that's not the kind of role you want to see him in. But like I always go back to the 2018 World Series run by the Red Sox, and against those same Dodgers, Nathan Eovaldi was that guy, and he came out and he put up an absolutely incredible performance in the World Series when he came in and basically made a start on zero. Like, he threw a start's worth of pitches and pitched 6 innings in relief. And forever he will drink for free in Boston because of that. Those scenarios are so few and far between. A lot of times the guy that gets added to the playoff roster that has that job, and there typically is one, they don't even play sometimes. They don't even get in depending on the situation. So, especially with the way the playoffs is structured where you get so many days off, you have so much time between appearances a lot of times. Like it's built to keep bullpens healthy because Major League Baseball realizes what they're doing to these players' bodies when they ask them to play this much baseball, especially this late in the season.
Yeah.
I think he can go on the roster, and I think he's like a 5th inning reliever because this is the playoffs, right? Like we pull starters in the 4th inning. We pull starters after 60-something pitches because not only, do we want to get the bullpen in there for the third time through the rotation, through the third time through the lineup, but we also like want that pitcher to be able to start in 4 days rest for their next appearance. So I think you see Clayton Kershaw make the postseason roster, and I really hope he's successful because I really do want to see him wear a postseason, a World Series ring, if they were to win it, that isn't 2020 and isn't 2024, where he only made 7 appearances in the regular season.
Yeah, I do love the feel-good vibes when it comes to players retiring, and the one thing I do worry about is, the way he was taken out of his last start there with the Dodgers this past week, and it was such a good moment, and I would hate for him to pitch in the playoffs and just do Kershaw in the playoffs, and his last appearance in Dodger uniform is just a goose egg. I would hate it. I really would hate that. I mean, that's not what it's about.
So the way that the interviews... Right. The way that the interviews looked after his last appearance, his last start, it looked pretty final. Like
it did.
He could go out and be good. And you know what? Like I said, he's earned the ring if they were to win the World Series. He's made 21 starts to a 3.55 ERA. He's incredible. I think I would rather take Clayton Kershaw going out like that than showing up in the postseason and pitching like he has to a 4.49 ERA in the postseason. That to me is just setting him up for failure and maybe tarnishing a legacy that really doesn't deserve to be tarnished.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'll be interesting to see how the Dodgers play it, and Dodgers are something I think I want to circle back on here soon when we start talking about the NL West in this playoff race. I will ask you this before we move on from Clayton Kershaw, and it's, I know, an exercise you and I like to do in our heads. Maybe we'll bring it to an episode here soon. We talk about baseball and Mount Rushmores a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is Clayton Kershaw? This is hard. This is the Dodgers. Is Clayton Kershaw on Dodgers Mount Rushmore?
Dodgers like forever Mount Rushmore?
Forever.
Not just pitchers.
No.
Well, let me build my Dodgers Mount Rushmore in my head because
all right, go ahead.
Jackie's on there. Koufax is on there. Yeah, I think Clayton's on there. The more I think about it, there's a lot of names. There's a lot of names that come to mind. Guys like Duke Snyder, guys like Don Newcomb, guys like that.
I mean,
Valenzuela, guys like that. But I just think Clayton Kershaw, for an 18-year career, putting up the numbers he did and has, especially in the regular season. Yeah, I think Clayton Kershaw's up there for me. I think he's like the fourth head, whoever the third one would end up being.
That's a good point. 18 years with the same team doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, you know what? I think my daughter's Mount Rushmore is Jackie, Sandy, Tommy Lasorda, and Clayton.
Interesting. Okay, you totally forgot about Lasorda. I think most Dodgers fans would agree with you on that one. Absolutely.
At least Dodgers fans that are still alive today.
Sure. We'll We will have to revisit this at some point. There's a larger discussion there for
We
sure.
should do like Mount Rushmores for every team over the offseason or something.
Let's do it. I love that. I love that. Sorry, Marlins. You'll only get two heads. Um,
Who's on
all right.
the Marlins Mount Rushmore has Wade Boggs on it somehow. I don't know how that works.
That's
It's just a player that played in Florida at some point.
In Florida. That's awesome. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. That was mean. Okay. Playoffs, Parker. Man,
Here we go.
I don't know if it's just because like I'm living it and I'm in it right now, but I feel like I don't remember a time in recent history where I'm so invested in this last week of the game. Because of all that's going on. In particular, you have two teams, and I want to start here because this kind of informs everything we're going to talk about. The Tigers and the Mets, free fall. They just tripped. They're whatever you want to use. They've absolutely just wet the bed here. And just to give people some context, the Tigers, okay, have 7 straight losses right now. Before the All-Star break, they were 59-38. They were solidly first in the AL Central. Since the All-Star break, the Tigers are 26-34. The Mets, prior to the All-Star break, 55-44. Since the All-Star break, also 26-34. Now, I don't know that we anticipated this much of a free fall for both of these teams, when both of these teams, we came into the season thinking they have a legitimate shot to not only win, but run away with their division. What do you make of two teams collapsing like this?
I want to sit here and point out that you actually weren't telling the truth. The Tigers have not lost 7 straight games. They've lost 8 straight. They lost again today.
They just lost? Oh, yeah. Man, that's crazy.
It is crazy, man. This team, we were living in, it was the Tigers world. We're all just living in it. Like, it was like Tarek Skubal versus the world. It was, look at this young lineup. Torkelson's figuring it out. The return of Javi Baez. Everything looked like it was on the up and up for this Tigers roster. A Tigers roster that had really, really what everybody thought was overperformed last year. Maybe they did overperform, because this year they came crashing down to earth like a team that it has a little bit of inexperience about them, like a team that doesn't quite know how to maintain a winning environment over the course of 162 games. And look, that is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, especially because this Tigers team is so young and they have so much room to grow. But man, like, we thought I had penciled them into the ALCS. Yeah. It was like Tigers and who? Tigers, Yankees, Tigers, Red Sox, Tigers, Blue Jays, whoever it was going to be, they were going to play in the ALCS and have to get past Detroit, probably in Detroit, to get to the World Series. And right now it's looking like they may not even make the wild card.
This is what I love about baseball, because teams spend all offseason trying to win the numbers game, to be competitive, to put everything, basically in their corner to affect data, right? And the chance to win 162. However, when you get into the season, it is a crapshoot, truly. And we've seen examples of this over and over. And I look at the Guardians, like, so many things need to happen for this Detroit Tigers team to do what they're doing, or to do what they have done. I mean, they've had to fall off. The Guardians have had to go 9-1 in their last 10. Okay, guys, as we sit here, you just mentioned that they lost to the Guardians. The Guardians are now 1 game up in the AL Central. On September 10th,
they're 11-1 in their last 12.
Yes, the Guardians, Parker, on September 10th had I can't believe this, a 0.1% chance to go to the playoffs. Now it's 56.9%, and I'm sure it just went up because that was yesterday's number. Okay. Yeah. So wow. I mean, I'll put it in perspective. One more thing, because this blew my mind. I was looking into this deep dive because I'm just fascinated by this turnaround. And entering July 9th, okay, the Tigers had a 15.5 game lead on these Guardians on July 9th. Okay. And there was a point in there between July 9th and now when the Guardians went 1-19.
Mm-hmm.
1-19. Make it make sense. That's crazy.
1-19 should not just like solidify your season as bad. It should absolutely 100% positively remove you from any playoff consideration whatsoever. And the craziest part about this is what else have the Guardians overcome? Suspension to Emmanuel Clase for a gambling affiliation of some sort. Emmanuel Clase is not pitching for this team right now, and for all intents and purposes over the last couple weeks, the Guardians have by far the best pitching in MLB. I want to point something out. There are currently, in the American League, 6 playoff teams or teams that hold playoff positions. In the National League, crazy, also 6 teams that are holding playoff positions. If the season were to end today, there are 12 teams making the playoffs. Of those 12, there is one team with a negative run differential. That team is the red hot, world beating Cleveland Guardians, who have a negative 2 run differential. I love run differential as a stat to determine who are the good teams and who are the bad teams. For instance, I think the Red Sox have severely underperformed to this point, and we all know that because they have a 114 run differential, plus 114. They are 114 runs better than the teams they have played. The best team in baseball has a 175 run differential, the Milwaukee Brewers. The projected win-loss record that appears on a lot of different sites is largely based on run differential. How many runs are you scoring versus the teams that you are playing against? The projected win-loss, the expected, I should say, win-loss for the Cleveland Guardians is 79-79. They are 86-72. They are incredibly outperforming their expectations. 7 games. That might not sound like a lot when you talk about 162 games, but if you win a division by 7 games, you ran away with that division. That division was sealed halfway through August if you win a division by 7 games. So that's the difference we're talking about now in expectations versus reality with a Cleveland Guardians team. Like I said, 11-1 in their last 12. Won again today. They won 10 straight, lost a game, and went straight back on another 2-game win streak against the Tigers, a Tigers team that they have overtaken in the division, a Tigers team that is 1-9 in their last 10, 8 straight losses, a Tigers team that if they don't get their act together, currently only holds a half-game lead for the final wild card.
Oh, goodness. Let's stop there for a second, Parker, because that's where I wanted to go. This is important here. When you look at the AL picture, okay, for the playoffs, we thought a couple days ago that the Houston Astros, for the first time in a long time, were going to miss the playoffs, and here they are because of the Tigers' demise. Find themselves a half game away, with the Tigers playing one more game against the Guardians, with Houston playing some games here against the A's. In a day or two, the Tigers may have played themselves out of a playoff spot. And if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm feeling so hard for them right now because this must be, in recent memory, one of the biggest downfalls of a team we've seen in half a season.
Yeah, no, this is insane. This is absolutely nuts. I can't believe what's happening. I do want to also point out, as we're talking about the AL playoff picture, the Blue Jays lost again tonight. The Red Sox won their second straight game against them. That puts the Toronto Blue Jays tied for first place in the AL East.
Wow.
With the New York Yankees.
And I think
now the Blue Jays have tiebreaker. The Blue Jays have the tiebreaker. And it's a little weird because I'm trying to look at this. It's a little weird because MLB.com currently, if you go to the wild card page, it says that the Yankees are in first place in the AL East for their standings, but I think it's because alphabetically N comes before T.
Correct. However, that may be an issue with MLB. They do fix it based on the tiebreaker. I don't think they did that yet, but yes, because if you go to their postseason kind of tracker, yes, they do get the tiebreaker. So
right, yeah, that's what I was saying. So on the standings page, it's a little wonky right now. But the Blue Jays currently do sit in first place, and that tiebreaker is huge. Because we're not playing a game 163 like we have in years past. We will be respecting tiebreakers in terms of the season series. And that means that the Blue Jays currently still do have, for all intents and purposes, sole possession of first place. Now, that could change over the next 3 games. Let me look at the schedule here for the Yankees. I don't remember who they're playing. My internet's, of course, being very slow. So the Yankees are, I should know that. The Yankees are playing the White Sox. The Yankees play the White Sox tomorrow, and then they have 3 against the Orioles. Now, the Orioles, they're not world beaters, and they're not playing spoiler like they have in the past, but they are capable of taking 2 games from the Yankees for sure, especially if it means that it's going to spoil their playoff hopes. So keep an eye on this AL East. The Yankees need a clean 1-game lead in order to win the division. So that means that if the Blue Jays, and I should have gone and looked and see who the Blue Jays are playing for the last few games of the season.
So the Blue Jays, have a little bit of a tougher schedule. They are wrapping things up with Boston, and then they have the Rays, and I think the Rays are by far more formidable right now than the Orioles. I really think it's a coin flip between the Blue Jays and the Yankees. However, I will say Yankees won tonight. They have the White Sox tomorrow. Odds are that's a win for the Yankees. They can take 2 of 3 from the Orioles easily. Whew. That gets interesting. We may be looking at
the Blue Jays need to win 3 of their next 4 games to really truly feel good about this division.
Like, we will be going down to the last day of the season potentially on this one.
Yeah, and that's for a division. That's not even for a wild card spot. Like this division looked solved at the beginning of August. It looked like the Blue Jays were going to run away with this division, and they have really, Chris Bassett went down with injury. They're hoping he's going to be back for the playoffs, and you just see the compounding effects of all these issues. And I do want to point out too that 7:00 Eastern time tomorrow against the Red Sox at home. 3 more games, all at home against the Rays. One of those games is a day game after a night game. So say what you want, but that type of thing will affect a team, especially a team that relies on people like Alejandro Kirk to catch as many games as he does. Alejandro Kirk got thrown out at first from right field to end the game today. So, I know that sounds ridiculous, but wear and tear adds up, especially on game 161 of 162. So.
Well, and I'll throw one more thing. The thing in the Blue Jays corner is they're getting Anthony Santander back for these last 4 games. So that's huge.
Okay. That's big. That's big. What's he been? He hasn't really hit that well this year, has he? But it is a bat.
It is the bat. I mean, he has a pretty solid year. I don't think he's tearing the cover off the ball or anything, but from what I remember, he has been pretty solid. If we look at it here, let's see. So he is at
59 OPS plus.
Ooh, okay. What am I thinking? I must be thinking of. No,
somebody.
It can't be that bad, is it?
No, it's that bad. He's been very bad. He's hitting. Let's see. He's only had 184 at bats. Yeah, he's at 179, 273, 304. The guy you really want back is Bo Bichette. He's actually been the best hitter on the team this year.
He has been. So scratch that. We'll edit that out. Anthony Santander, boo-hoo, yay. Okay, whatever. Hopefully he just goes on a 4-game tear. Blue Jays will love that. Everyone's happy. Great. Okay.
Well, hopefully not. The Red Sox have officially been eliminated from the AL East contention. So honestly, I don't really give a crap who wins. I hope at this particular point in the way the teams are playing, I do hope that the Yankees, this sounds terrible for me to be saying, I hope the Yankees win the division because I want the Red Sox to play the Blue Jays, even if all 3 games are going to be at home. I would rather play the Blue Jays at home than the Yankees at home at this particular time in the season.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're probably right there. You're probably right. Wow. Well, that's going to get interesting in the AL. Really, what we're watching there is just honestly that wild card at this point. Everything else seems pretty locked up. I will. I have to go to my kitchen and get all the crow that I heated up for this episode because I was totally shitting on the Guardians for a while. And
yeah, you were mad.
Hardcore. And now I'm mad because Parker, they're like the Yankees for me, for the White Sox. They're like my White Sox Yankees. And I feel like every time I turn around, they're freaking there. I go to sleep at
every
night.
year,
They're in the
man.
corner. Every year. And it's just
at the beginning of the season, do you remember both of us just being like, there's no way, not this year. They don't have the pitching, blah, 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 blah. Shane Bieber's coming back. They sold at the deadline. Like Shane Bieber was on the Guardians at the beginning of this season.
Oh man, I don't know, man. But I don't know. I do think we're going to end up seeing the Guardians take this one away. I think we're going to be talking about this season for the Guardians and Tigers for a very, very long time. And I think next week we'll talk about who's got the juice, right? So talking about really these teams now that they're in next week, we're going to be next time we record, there'll be like one game into the wild card series. And I want to talk about, do these teams have the juice to go to the World Series and win it? And I think we'll have an interesting Guardians conversation about that.
Yeah, God, this team, for my entire adult life, the Cleveland baseball franchise has just been the thorn in the side of every like AL East hopeful. I remember so many times them just waiting in a playoff series, ready to take on the Red Sox or ready to take on the Yankees, whoever's coming through the AL, and they play very good baseball in the playoffs, and they never are out of it. Like, I thought they were out of it. I should have known better. They were not out of it, and here they are, ready to do more damage in October.
Oh, that's wild. National League. So National League. So here's what's going on in the National League. I want to talk about the National League in depth here. So let's go to the divisions. We know the Phillies have locked that up for the division in the East. We know the Brewers have locked it up in the Central. The West Division, Parker, there's still a chance, okay, for the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
They're 2 games behind the Dodgers for the division. It's going to be hard, not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You could not have paid me money to bet on the Padres taking this division away from the Dodgers, but they've made it uncomfortably close.
Do you know why I also think I'm going to go ahead and call right now? How many games did you say? 2 games, right?
2 games.
The Padres are 2 games back of the Dodgers. Are they playing right now? I don't.
That's a good question. I think they played.
I think they're playing.
Tonight.
I think they're both playing.
Oh, they started. They probably started then.
Yeah. So right now the Dodgers. Oh, what the heck? They moved. The Dodgers are currently tied 1-1 against the Diamondbacks. Where the Padres must not be playing right now. No, the Padres are playing right now. They're losing 3-1 to the Brewers. So stuff could change by the end of the night. But I also look at the record, or excuse me, the schedule moving ahead, and the Padres get to finish their season off with 3 games against the underperforming Diamondbacks. The Dodgers have to go play 3 games against the Mariners, who are currently fighting for their own division title.
Yeah, that's tough. You know what though? Like, what's going to make it harder for them is we have 5 games left. Okay, they're 2 games out. Dodgers do have the tiebreaker there for the division, so they need to.
They have 4 games after tonight.
Right?
After tonight, including tonight, there's 5 games left.
Right,
but
I don't actually know that's very likely.
No, the Padres just straight up, they already lost. That's what it was. They already lost today. So those standings currently reflect. Okay. So there's 3 games left for the Padres, and then the end of this one and 3 games left for the Dodgers. So if the Dodgers lose the Dodgers have 4 games left. Oh my God. I'm completely out of it.
Yeah. Both teams have 4 games left is what the schedule should be. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I'm the Padres, if I can get that division, great. But I mean, folks, they have a 5-game lead for wild card spot, so they're getting in. No concern for the Padres there. Okay.
Yeah, so they're making the playoffs.
It'll be Yeah, it'll be a matter of if they can get the division against the Dodgers or not, which would also be just huge for that Dodger Padres rivalry that's just heated up over the last couple of years. But
I think if it comes down to a playoff series right now between the Dodgers and Padres, who do you pick?
oh, jeez, Parker,
In a
man, the Padres
playoff
just
series.
that you said it right. A playoff series because the Padres give the Dodgers so much crap in the playoffs. Like they just
And
do.
also
I
have
mean,
a better bullpen than they maybe ever have had
I,
in those
I
scenarios.
right now this is a matter of having the hot hand, and I would probably go Padres,
They're
which is
both
crazy. I wouldn't
losing
have said
baseball
that.
games. So, like, it's not, I don't know. Neither of them are hot right now, but both of them are very good. How about that?
Yeah, I would say the hotter hand for individual performances right now. I think that team has some better individual performances where I think it's more likely they could piece it together in a 5-game series.
If I were to ask you, who do you think would win a playoff series right now between the Red Sox and the Dodgers? If they, let's just say the World Series started today, it's Red Sox Dodgers. Who are you picking? You can say Dodgers. Yeah, you can say Dodgers.
I am
Yeah.
going Dodgers. I think the Red Sox. What I worry about with the Red Sox part of me is a Red Sox fan. I've always liked the Red Sox, and obviously because my buddy Parker here is a Red Sox fan. But I feel like the Red Sox still have a lot to prove in playing consistent baseball, and that makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm. That
And
does make me nervous too. I only ask that question because the Padres and the Red Sox are currently tied in the win column. And the Padres actually have one more loss than the Red Sox, which just like, that's why the context of the situation matters so much in the game of baseball, because the San Diego Padres are Dodger killers sometimes in the playoffs, and maybe not Dodger killers, but definitely Dodger giver troublers. How about that? And the Red Sox, I use them specifically because their record matched up, but like, it's crazy the two different perceptions of two teams, because the Dodgers are supposedly this powerhouse in all of our heads, but they only have one more win than the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are like this team that's inconsistent and weird. And it's like, wow, baseball's such a funny game, because I would pick the Dodgers over the Red Sox right now if they came up into a best of 7 series.
Yeah, I think for me it also comes down to, and this is something that's so intangible that you can't measure, and I get that, and this is what makes baseball fun. But in honor of football season, right? You've seen all these football games every week, and you're always looking for the big time play, right? And I think if you look at which roster I can get more big time plays out of in the baseball context, it's the Padres.
Yeah, I think so too. I envision Mason Miller throwing 103 miles an hour to strike out Shohei Ohtani and just absolutely losing his mind coming off the mound afterward. Like, I can see that clear as day, and I think that would be such a fun series for us to be able to watch as Padres Dodgers.
Absolutely. So for the National League, though, I think the most interesting is our other team that's fallen off a cliff, the Mets. The Mets are just battling. They're battling. They have the third wild card spot. However, the Diamondbacks, a game back. The Reds, a game back. We have 3 teams that are vying for that for last wild card spot. It will come down most likely to the last game of the season. And the Mets are just trying to stay alive. These poor Mets, man, they're like crawling with half a leg chopped off to the front door. It's rough.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Cincinnati Reds. Who are they playing? They got the Pirates for 1 and the Brewers for 3. Oh, no.
That's that. I know. I'm not putting money on them. I'm telling you right now. I'm not doing it.
No, that sucks. I was hoping this was the year we finally get to see some Ella Dela Cruz in the playoffs, but no, it doesn't look like. I'm not going to chalk them up yet, but they have lost 2 straight to the Pirates.
This is why I still think, unlike the Tigers, I think the Mets do have a chance to hang on to this. However, it is the top of the 8th here in Chicago, and the Mets are down 10-2. They're losing that ball game. Okay. And if we look at what these other teams are doing right now, Arizona may win against the Dodgers. I doubt it. It's tied 1-1 after 2. And then you look at the Reds. that game's already accounted for today. They had a 4-3 loss against Paul Skeen and the Pirates. So, God, that's rough.
Yeah,
That's rough, brother. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't either.
And
Wow,
here's
this
where I
is
think I'm
nuts.
giving it. Here's where I think I'm giving it to the Mets. Still, they got those 3 games against the Marlins down the season. That may be their saving grace.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Fun little tidbit here: the Brewers cannot win 100 games this season. They are officially eliminated from 100 win season contention. They only have 3 games left, and they're all against
Yeah.
the Reds. They have an off day tomorrow going into that series against the Reds. So honestly, baseball doesn't do this as much as other sports, but like, you don't sit the starters, but do you like give your big guy the week off and get him ready for game 1 kind of thing? Because the Brewers got the first round bye, so the risk you run is basically taking 2 weeks off from playing baseball before the playoffs start.
I think that's where my head's at, right? Like, I think it is case by case. We know pitchers to be very habitual creatures. And I think those guys, when you get to the end of this season, you're sitting down with every one of those guys and saying, hey, tell me what you want. Tell me what's going to work for you. Tell me what's going to keep you pristine condition when we get into this series. I think it's just going to be different based on the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Especially I don't know, you got to kind of, especially a team that's been so momentum based this season, you just got to kind of ride the hot hand. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I don't man, I'm really excited next week, folks. I think we're really gonna get into some of the specifics of these teams, their pitching rotations for this off season, or excuse me, this postseason going forward. This is going to be a wild one, Parker. I don't even know what to think. Next week, we're going to get into, like I said, who can make a deep run, who we see making a deep run this postseason. But, we talked about it last week. Mariners, Brewers, Blue Jays, Brewers, those World Series are not out of the question. And it's going to be one for the ages, I feel like.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think that the Phillies, they've been 5-5 in their last 10. They've not fallen off. I think that they're just coasting at this point.
Sure.
Yeah. It is interesting to see what's going on in Philly land, because they don't look like the absolute animal house that they looked like a while ago. I mean, they're 11 and a half games up in division, right? Like, they're not worried at all. They are super set in what is going on over there. But it is interesting to see they're not exactly hot going into the postseason. Man, the Cubs have lost 5 in a row.
The Cubs, Parker. If we just do this now, we could talk forever about it, because I'm looking at this bracket right now, and the bracket's as of 7 p.m. Eastern time today. Okay. So take it lightly. However, we're looking at a wild card series on the AL side of I was going to say Indians. Hello. Guardians, Tigers, which is a rematch of the ALDS last year. That's great.
That's going to be so good.
So good. You're going to have your Red Sox and Yankees in the other wild card, with Mariners and Blue Jays at the bye. And on the NL side right now, we have the Mets rolling in to play the Dodgers. Whew, yikes.
Oh, boy.
And then another equal yikes for me is the Padres playing the Cubs. Ugh. Like that.
Yeah.
Not great.
No. Yeah, no, I think if I were to, I think I might pick the Cubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
They got a lot going for them offensively. Stuff that I wasn't even counting. Like, who knew that Matt Shaw was just going to have a really good season? Kyle Tucker is no stranger to the postseason. I feel very similarly about Kyle Tucker. I don't care what kind of season Kyle Tucker had. The second October begins, Kyle Tucker is somebody to be a force to be reckoned with. Same as I feel about Alex Bregman. These guys, I think Kyle Tucker has never missed the postseason, same as Alex Bregman. I would assume so, because they were both in Houston during the same years.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that guy knows how to play at the postseason. There's a lot of players on those Padres, new look Padres that, especially in that bullpen, that are relatively new, that may or may not be able to perform to the extent that I'm giving them credit for already before the postseason even starts. What matchup, let's say the bracket solidifies right now, it's frozen in time. What matchups are you most excited for that could happen but are not like, I'm not talking about, I'm of course excited about Red Sox Yankees. I'm of course excited about Tigers Guardians. What matchup is like could materialize that you're excited about?
Like, could materialize with the change in the standings over 5 days, or just in the bracket anywhere?
The bracket is what it is at this very moment.
And I'm going off
When
of what could happen.
what could happen based on this bracket. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. I want to see, because it happens every year and it's just such a heated series every time. I want to see Dodgers Phillies again. I want that real
Yeah.
bad. It's always just prime time baseball TV
Fireworks,
watching
man.
those two teams. Fireworks. And I sign me up for that. There is something special to me seeing the Brewers and the Cubs in the NLDS.
Yeah. I was just going to say Brewers Cubs looks so cool.
That rivalry, man, it's getting hotter every single year. And especially now we have Craig Counsell over here. I mean, I would love to see those teams meet in the postseason. I mean, I can keep going and going. There's so many good potential matchups here. You really can't go wrong with either of them. And every one of them has a unique story that is worth following this year.
100%. I think that if I'm being realistic in my expectations of the Boston Red Sox, after that Red Sox Yankees series, I don't know if we're going to see much Boston Red Sox playoff baseball. I would love to see a Mariners Yankees ALCS. That would be super sick. Just based on like the history of the two teams, Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr.'s like beef they had with the Yankees, the Edgar Martinez walk off to save baseball in Seattle against the Yankees. Yeah, I think Mariners Yankees is something I'd circle if it were to happen. And then I agree with you for sure. The Cubs Brewers series looks awesome. How cool would it be for the Cubs to be like, yeah, you had that great season, but check this out. This is how you play in the playoffs, and just beat the Brewers handily in the NLDS. Like, it would be like, oh wow, another Giants. Remember that Giants season where they won 106 games and then they just got absolutely dog walked in the playoffs? We could very well see that again if that were to happen to this Brewers team.
We could.
And yeah, Dodgers Phillies.
Wow, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good baseball to be had. We're gonna have kind of the next two nights that we're here talking baseball are going to be really electric, and we're looking forward to those. We have a lot that we're going to be getting into. But before we wrap up tonight, Parker, I want to talk about some unique developments that we learned about this past week about kind of the evolution of the game and where our game's heading. And one of them, I'll actually start with the biggest one first: the automatic ball and strike system, the ABS system that we've heard about in the minors, that was used in spring training. It's coming to MLB games in 2026, and I know you and I are super pumped about it. What makes you excited about this?
I think it is the perfect mix of automating something enough to make it more accurate, but also not over automating it to the point where it doesn't feel like the human element exists. I think that giving the teams challenges and restricting those challenges to either the pitcher, catcher, or batter is the perfect way to implement this so that we can make the game more accurate. And now, yes, there's only 2 challenges per game. If you win, you keep your challenge, same as a normal challenge would be in any other Major League game. Why does this make the game more accurate? Well, now a follow-on effect of this is that now umpires will have a hard, concrete number next to their name that says, this guy misses a lot of calls, gets the head tap, and gets them reversed all the time. And you're going to know which umpires are good and not good. And I'm not over here preying on the downfall of umpires. I hope nobody loses their job. I hope everybody just gets better. But you will know who the best ones are. And I'm a huge fan of being able to recognize greatness, especially in a profession as scrutinized as an MLB umpire's job is. I am super excited for this. One little story I wanted to tell. I was telling Anthony this via text, but I wanted to put it out there for the airwaves to enjoy. My dad is definitely the most baseball purist guy I know. He hated the implementation of the instant replay system. This is a guy who does not like the designated hitter, even though we're Red Sox fans, and we have definitely benefited from the designated hitter, maybe more than any franchise in MLB since, I don't know, 2000. He really likes the implementation of the ABS system. And I don't think it's so much of a boon for the ABS system, but in MLB's method of implementation. My dad and I grew up, and my dad currently lives about 15 minutes from the Orioles AAA affiliate, the Norfolk Tides. And he goes and sees like 10 to 15 games there every year. And AAA has had the ABS challenge system for a couple years now. And he has seen it in action there. He's seen the suspense of the moment of the team actually getting the challenge right or getting the challenge wrong, the crowd pop when it happens or doesn't. He's on board. And for that to have happened, I'm not going to say it was some titanic feat. Like, my dad's a pretty open-minded guy. But it does say something about the fact that MLB's trying to acclimate players and fans, and they are rolling these things out systematically. And at least in the instance of my dad, that systematic rollout worked. Super excited about ABS. Excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's you always get concerned about interrupting the flow of the game. We've proven that is not an issue. I saw it when I went down to Charlotte earlier this year and saw the Charlotte Knights, and I loved it. I loved how engaged
Spring
the
training
crowd was. It's something. Spring training, we saw it, and there's an engagement there that MLB is doing a really good job at capturing. And I will say, people really shit on Rob Manfred. You think what you want about the guy, but there's no commissioner in recent history, arguably ever, that has changed the game as much as Rob Manfred and put in some rule changes that, like you said, alluded to, are hard to do. And he's done it successfully. And this is one of those. And one day we're going to talk about all this. We're going to have a whole Rob Manfred episode one day. And we're going to talk about all this. But the only little nitpick I have is nothing to do with actual ABS. Guys, can we stop calling it robot umpires? Can we
it's
please
not robot
stop?
umps.
It's not robot umps. And for those who are calling it robot umpires, I see on my socials every 5 minutes, stop. That is not what it is. Don't scare people. You're going to scare people like Parker's dad. Everyone calm down. Okay. It's not like it's
robot umps.
It's not. It's the same thing as you can challenge a tag play after a steal at second. We don't call those robot umps. It's the same thing, just with the pitches.
It's the same thing as the judges in tennis. And they're making calls you can just challenge with Hawkeye, which is exactly the technology that's being implemented in Major League Baseball. And that's why when guys like Walker Buehler go up and over the last week, before it even got okayed, and I don't know how tied in he is with the players union, if he knew this announcement was coming or something like that, he was talking about how he doesn't like ABS. He thinks that his words were that I don't think it's very accurate. Okay, it's really accurate.
Right.
And then Walker Buehler, one thing, God, I love Walker Buehler, and I really liked him leading into the season, but he put his foot in his mouth when he said something. When he said this, he said, I think there are pitches that guys who have been pitching for a while in this league should get that other guys shouldn't. Walker,
no,
I know you've been playing ball for 9 years now, and I know that where you come from, you're one of these seasoned vets, and you played for the Dodgers for very long, so that makes you the tenure with the team was your veteran status, not so much the amount of time you've pitched in Major League Baseball. Because let's be honest, you've had 2 Tommy John surgeries. You have, I think, less than 100 wins in Major League Baseball. You're not this salted veteran, and you're not going to get calls because of it. He loves to say this. I watched so many interviews this year where Walker Buehler had a terrible start or got ejected. Remember that one where he got ejected? He was wearing the turtleneck. It was a cold game in Boston. He got ejected by the home plate umpire because he took, quote unquote, he was I've been pitching in this league for a really long time. And okay, man, you haven't been pitching for as long as Clayton Kershaw, and Clayton Kershaw doesn't expect strikes to be called that are actually balls because he's been pitching for that long. I don't know. That was just a weird off the wall comment. It was just tangentially related to ABS.
No, you're right though. That was wild to me. It's like we appreciate Walker Buehler's talent here, but also let's be honest, Walker, you're not pitching. You haven't pitched him like Clayton Kershaw consistently. So calm down. Okay, number one.
Yeah.
I mean, number two. I mean, that's like saying in football, oh, we'll go ahead and scrap the inches on a play call at the line of scrimmage for Stafford, but not for Caleb Williams. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Like, what is that? I want to point out he's been pitching for a really long time in this league. He debuted in 2017. He's in his 8th year of service time,
which has not been a full 8 years because he's been injured often.
He's been injured a lot. He pitched in 8 games in 2017. He pitched in 8 games in 2020. He pitched in 16 games in 2024. I don't even think he hits 10 years of service time for like another 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we do love Walker Buehler. We think he's very talented. We love your brother, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on now. Parker, last thing I want to talk about when it comes to things evolving in the game. This really caught my eye, and I had really strong feelings about it. So it turns out that down there in Miami, where they have a full Mount Rushmore, the Marlins coaches, are calling pitches from the dugout, relaying them to the catcher, who then, per usual, relays them to the pitcher. It's not catcher-pitcher. They're not calling the game together. It's the coaches to the catcher to the pitcher. What and why?
I think this happens more often than people realize that it does. I think there are a lot of pitching coaches that probably should be calling the game rather than their first year. Like a Kyle Teal calling the game, but not the pitching coach. Like when you sit and think about it, Kyle Teal was at the University of Virginia 2 years ago. Why should he call pitches for major league pitchers who've been in the league for years and years? You know what I'm saying? Like when you do start doing that math, I think it's like a little more palatable of an idea. And I also think that if that's going to be the case, make it more convenient, give the manager or the pitching coach a PitchCom input device, put one in the ear of the catcher, put one in the ear of the pitcher. At this point, just give every single defensive player a PitchCom and let him call the pitches. I think they just make it as easy as possible. If this is going to make the game better, if it's going to help the development of young players, it's going to help the development of young catchers. Yeah, sure. I'm all for it.
It's funny. You and I could not disagree more on this. That's very interesting.
Really?
Because we're two very agreeable baseball dudes. I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because if you're a young team, especially the Marlins and White Sox, because you mentioned Kyle Teal, I want my younger catchers working with these pitchers to be able to call a game, because that is the true value of a catcher in this league. Is you need to know how to manage a game, call the game, know your pitchers front, right, and center. And when you take it from them, you're taking an opportunity to learn. Marlins ain't doing anything soon. Let your guys learn. Okay. Like to me, this whole thing sounds like the president of baseball ops, Peter Bendix, who's a very nerdy guy who loves his numbers and sits up there in his little ivory tower doing baseball shit, told these guys, oh, we should do this because stats tell us to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I feel really strongly about stats taking over baseball and putting everything else aside. If you have a catcher who is behind home plate, working with your pitcher, their vantage point, they're going to learn their pitcher. They're going to see where the ball moved in the zone. They're going to get those reads that you don't get in the dugout. You just don't.
I can see that. Yeah, no, I can totally agree. I will also counterpoint to my own point is with the advent of ABS, if we start calling games for catchers, we really, really take away a lot of the agency that a catcher had defensively over the game.
That's a really good point. And so I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. Also, because where's your offensive first catchers? There's not many. So you're taking away.
Cal and like Will Smith.
There's Cal. And hey, maybe Sam Basayo ends up being the next Cal Raleigh. Sure. But if you take away their defensive ability and their ability to call a game, then what the hell's the catcher worth at this point? Like what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No, they're a pop time. They're just like a pop time. Like, are you got a good pop time? All right, cool. You call games. You catch.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. 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 It'll be interesting.
We did
to see
it,
how
by the way.
goes.
We made it over the hour mark, which is insane because we were at like 30 minutes when we were done with our note.
And what do? We always say, Parker, we always say like, oh, we're at 30 minutes. Wow, this is going to go by a lot faster than another 30 minutes. Easy.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
folks.
also do save juicy topics for last, so that probably has something to do with it.
We do. So if you've made it this far in the hour, congratulations. You're welcome. Okay, make sure you watch the whole hour, guys. Like if you're doing the first 25 minutes, you pick it up later, that's fine. But we're happy to have you here at Late Night Baseball. We're here every week, Parker and I, talking all things Major League Baseball, and we don't take things too seriously here. We love our stats. We don't pretend like we know everything. We know a lot, but we don't know everything, and we like to do things a little unique here. So make sure you're going onto YouTube, following Late Night Baseball every single week with everything we're posting, and subscribe. We'll see you next week here on Late Night.